I participated in a kind of a roundtable discussion about Greg Palast's new movie, along with a number of just great people. One of them was Mondale Robinson. He's the founder and principal of the Black Male Voter Project and the elected mayor of Enfield in Halifax County, North Carolina back in 2022. Blackmaject.org is the website, and the Twitter handle is BMV Project or Mondale Robinson. And Mondale, welcome to the program. You some statistics about black male voters that completely contradict this essentially slander of black men and their voting record that has taken our media by storm, it seems. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, first of all, Tom, thanks so much for having me and also for listening to me on that panel that had 1 million people speaking and hearing or seeing something that you felt like your people needed to hear. So let me start by saying, first of all, I'm too close to the screen. Let me start there.
That's all good.
Let me start by saying that, America has this long history, this narrative of painting things about black men to be truth, even when we see data to support it. The opposite. That is the case when it comes to voting. Black men continue to be painted as these people that are subjected or subject to becoming more conservative because of Trump's bombastic attitude or the way that Trump talks or show up in the world and his bravado. But what we truly know about black men is none of that has been attracted to us. We've seen black men vote less for Trump in every election cycle, either when his name is on the ballot or someone he endorsed. They get less and less of the black man's support. We even see black men being more progressive on issues where we are allies and not directly impacted. And what I mean by that, let me break it all down. First, in 2016, Donald Trump did better with black men than he did in 2020. Donald Trump in 2020 did worse than every modern day president with black men except for Mitt Romney. And Mitt Romney was running against a black guy. So that's like to be given, right? And also we should say in 2022, we saw Trump endorsed candidates do worse with black men than they did in the previous midterm. We also saw in 2023, black men outperform everybody on women's right to choose in Ohio. Right? We outperform black women by 8 percentage points. So this narrative that black men are becoming more conservative just reminds me of how loud the media needs this narrative to be that black men are not supporting a black woman, even though historically there's no support for this behavior, and it definitely does not exist in our voting habits, Tom.
Yeah. I was just really surprised by the statistics and numbers and what you're seeing and what you guys are doing. If you have any more of that and you want to continue with that, go for it. And beyond that, tell us about the Black Male Voter Project.
Yeah, so the Black Male Voter Project is basically me saying I created the organization not completely for an altruistic point, but also for I felt like I needed to apologize to my dad's lived experience. And what I mean by that is America has a wonderful way of making you hate yourself if you are not white. And as a child, I think I fell into that a little bit. I was very angry with my father because this man could do anything. Fix houses, anything in the house, electrical stuff, roofing, sidewalks, concrete, paving, anything, my dad could do it. But we were poor, and I'm not talking about little poor, we were big poor. We moved so much. I used to joke in the town that I'm now mayor and say that I think I lived in every house because we couldn't afford to pay bills every month. Mm-hmm. But what I learned the older I got was my dad was not someone who was lazy, or there was no pathology in my father that made him want to sit at home and make my mother some type of welfare queen. No, my dad was actually just a victim of of America's white supremacy. My dad grew up the son of a sharecropper, my grandfather. And on that farm, one of the kids that my dad spent his entire life growing up with, when they were 16, smacked my dad's mother, my grandmother, and knocked her off the porch. My dad reacted and got a felony conviction for that. That Wow. Felony conviction plagued us my entire life. and my dad's working life. So I grew up thinking my dad, why were we so poor? Why can't I get toys on Christmas like other kids? And what I found out was my dad was not even some outlier. He was actually the mean. Most black men in the South, in rural spaces, born in 1940 something, like my father, probably had a similar story or knew somebody that had a similar story where white supremacy stopped what you could have been or stunted your growth. And I think, realizing that, I began to realize that there are some problems that my dad faced, that his dad faced, that now me and my brothers and to some extent my nephews are facing. And these are systemic racist problems that plague black men unique to anyone else, meaning black men have the shortest lives, not just of anybody in America. We have the shortest lives of people in 105 out of the 192 countries. You have to go to places like South Sudan or Afghanistan to find people with shorter lives than black men. Black men are the only demographic in this country that could be born rich or middle class and still are likely to experience poverty in their life. We only 22% of us have college degrees. Black women are earning more degrees than us. They are the only women outperforming their men cohorts. And then we could just go on about how black boys are suspended and expelled at rates that are much unmatched by anybody. We know that black men are over-policed, over-sentenced, and over-convicted. So all of these are political issues. And I thought, what are the effects in like 10 years ago? What are the effects of these issues on black men voting habit? I know people say it's misogynistic. I know people say that black men are apolitical. I know people say that black men have a level of apathy that caused them not to care about politics. But none of that rings true with my lived experience and the people around me. So I wanted to have data to support something beyond the anecdotal, what's going on in my circle. I wanted to know what was going on with black men in general. So I launched Black Male Voter Project as an answer to what's really ailing black men. So we can hear polls say things like black men are going to be more conservative or Trump's going to get 20% of black men. We can hear polls say that black men are not excited about an election, therefore they will not vote. And we can also push back on those polls, even when the national narrative don't want to hear it. We have enough data because we have more data on the 9.6 million black men that are registered to vote in this country than damn near any organization. And in the data, because we don't talk to the super voters, the college educated, the brothers who are members of the Divine Nine, the brothers who are members of the NAACP and other legacy organizations. We talk to the majority of black men. Over 53% of black men who are already registered in this country most of them haven't voted in any election, and some of them only in one of the last 4 federal elections. So those are the brothers we talk to, and we build platform to reach them, to bring them into the fold. And what we find out is none of them are apolitical. None of them are suffering from apathy. There's a level of antipathy, but that level of antipathy is not crippling for black men. If we teach them the power in their vote, then they're likely to vote, just as likely to vote as any other super voters in this country.
There you go. So we're talking with W. Mondale Robinson, the founder and principal of the Black Male Voter Project, .org, and the mayor of Enfield in Halifax County, North Carolina. Mondale, why do you think that the media has been so enthusiastic about these memes, and why is this popping up in some of these polls suggesting that Trump is actually gaining with black men?
Yeah, I think, the tragedy of it is we do this conference for battle rap. Battle rap is sometimes confused with regular rap. Regular rap is commercial rap. Battle rap is completely different. Battle rap is a sport, much like boxing, and its consumers are mostly black men. We bring these guys together and do a political conference at the beginning of the year in spring. And we sat down and we talked to them. And what we found out was, we did something we don't normally do. We invited the media into our space to be around these brothers. And the conference was sold out. And we let ABC Nightline News come in. And what we found out was these people recorded us for 3 days. They took the conversation of the only 2 people in the room that said that they were going to support Trump and ignored all of the other conversations that were happening.
Oh, really?
So the only
ABC News did that. Wow.
Nightline, and they sent their Nightline anchor, who is a black man,
wow,
to the conference. And the only thing that they posted about this conference, from other than my voice, which they only gave me about 3 seconds after I sat down for more than an hour and a half interview, they only played what they wanted to play. They painted that narrative. They took that piece and went to some college-educated brothers in North Carolina and played it for them, or said what they took from this conference. and pit it as if you have this black man against black man problem. And I think the media has the ability to do that when you have as much ink as ABC. And when we asked them for the rest of the footage so we could show people what was really going on at the conference, they said Disney owned the footage, right? And I think we should always be aware that there's always been narratives about black men not being present in their families, or when black men are painted on TV, how the media covers what happens to them or what's going on versus what's really the lived experience. So I can't speak to that problem or that sickness that is willing to share or put black men in the black light. What I can do, though, is talk about the resilience and also the challenge of black men in this country as it pertains to the electoral work. Thom, we have to consider that the reason people don't truly vote, we know all of the tactics from the Republican parties. We see them on a daily basis, right? So many laws being presented to prevent people that look like me from going to the poll. Yeah, those things are true and they need to be challenged in court, and they are. There's some great organizations doing that work. But the real barrier to voting is poverty, right? And because poverty is a real thing and it has more effect than not just having enough money or enough food, it affects our psychology. Maslow told us that when people don't have enough money to, have their basic needs, or they don't have their basic needs met, it is unlikely they're going to do things that are seen or present as self-actualization.
Right.
The way we present politics in its very transactional nature, where we show up 2 months, 3 months before an election and talking about how important this election is or how important this candidate is, does nothing to increase the idea that voting is a tool to address those things that keep you from having your basic needs met. It just doesn't ring true to people who are living with their backs against the wall. And we know the demographics. I just articulated them for where black men find themselves in this experiment we call America. And because we are on the lowest rung of all social markers, it is almost likely to be understanding that black men would vote less than other people. We see people who vote tend to be have more access to more resources. Their issues are being presented in a way that is culturally competent and also believable. We don't see that with black men. We have a few black men that are presented as token voices for black men, but they're not trusted messengers. People like Barack Obama, people like Daniel Keeley. These guys are not trusted messengers for the brothers who vote.
It's a hard break I can't control. W. Mondale Robinson, blackmalevoterproject.org. Check it out. Hang on just a second, Mondale. This guy's going to step on me. He always does. I don't know what happened. Oh, there he is.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Okay, Mondale Robinson, W. Mondale. Thank you so much for dropping by today. It was great talking with you.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. You're doing great work.